definitely 100% for sure, without a doubt, absolutely guaranteed to be wrong. When both parties agree on something, when both the right wing and supposed left wing media both agree on something, you can be sure, absolutely, positively, 100%, without a doubt, absolutely guaranteed that that position is 100% totally wrong. Now, there's some things that everybody agrees on. The left side of the media, the right side of the media, the Democrats, and the Republicans. And you can be sure they're 100% wrong. There are some people you may not criticize in this world. You know, the U's, for example. You, the U's cannot be criticized. You know, those little lambs in that certain little area of the world may not be criticized by anybody at any time, especially that special number that they have, 6 million, right? You may not criticize it. You may not question it. You may not prove it with facts that it cannot possibly exist. So, as said, so that right there is one thing that cannot be criticized. But lately, we have seen the media, the left and the right, the Democrats and the Republicans, CNN and Fox News, all tell us that we are in a justified war to defend Ukraine. No matter how much treasure we have to spend, we must defend Ukraine. Now, of course, this is completely absurd, but just the fact that both sides are saying this should just throw big, huge red flags. You notice that when I was a kid, they said it was a slippery slope to allow the homosexual rainbow agenda into society. That maybe crazier things would come later, like, you know, people wanting to use the wrong bathroom, for example. And it happened just like we thought. Things would definitely get worse, right? We knew that. And things will continue to get worse. Well, how is it that we didn't know with World War II that sending all of our money and treasure to these World War I? Let's go back to Smedley Butler, okay, who wrote this wonderful book, War is a Racket, talking about how the expenditures of World War I were being the equipment and the military equipment was sold all over the world, okay, to make politicians rich in this country. And then in World War II, you heard that talk about the military industrial complex, right? How is it that we didn't realize that we were going down a slope that was going to increasingly get worse and worse and worse? Now we think we can just throw $85 billion worth of medical or military equipment in the Middle East, and nobody even blinks an eye at how bad the corruption is. Like, we should be up in arms in major protests across the country over these things. Why are both the right and the left medias so far down this military industrial complex? Well, who owns them? Who runs the media? Ultimately, it's the White House and the military. You say they don't own it per se outright, but man, they sure got a lot of people from the White House working in it. Gee, they love those correspondence dinners where the president tells them everything that their agenda is going to be, pretty much. And a lot of CIA agents somehow end up. Isn't that amazing how you had bin Laden was suddenly supposedly destroyed in Pakistan? You never saw a body, of course, but the next day, SEAL Team 6 magically gets shot down, and then the guy who supposedly shot bin Laden's on Fox News for the next 10 years. I mean, really? We can't put two and two together and realize that our government is as corrupt as can be. And then you look at somebody like Zelensky and realize this guy is making millions and millions of dollars fraudulently also. So what role does he play over there? Because I'm not there, I can't know everything he's doing, but is he helping sell the military industrial complex? Is he part of that? Is that how he's fraudulently and corrupt making all this massive amount of money? Just like Biden and Hunter Biden over there? Why did we put Hunter Biden in office or Joe Biden in office when we know that Hunter Biden is literally a crack dealer? I mean, what could possibly go wrong? But our country's that demoralized. We are that demoralized. You just had Brittany Griner, Brittany. What's the real name there? What's the real name of that guy? And went back to basketball and people cheered. They stood and cheered. I mean, we're at the bottom of the slippery slope. It's not okay to say that we are on a slippery slope and things can get worse. We're on the bottom rung of the ladder, folks. We've already descended into hell in this country. If it gets worse, the only thing that could get worse is complete Livic raw. Spell the words backwards and turn them around. You got to dance with algae rhythm. So I had to be a little careful what I say here. So if we descend into Livic raw, then maybe there's still a slippery slope to which we can descend, but we are at morally the bottom rung of the ladder. It doesn't get much worse from here. We ultimately lose all civilization after this. So what am I getting at? How do we defend anything now when everybody is this demoralized? Did they stand up and they vote for the? It always reminds me. I mean, they cheer. They cheer for the worst of the worst. You voted for a crack dealer who we all knew was a crack dealer for president. Now, you got to give us Trump voters a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. We didn't know he was as evil as he is. We knew some things. But my gosh, if I'd have known even a fraction of the stuff we know now about the guy, there's no way in the universe I could have voted for him. I definitely ain't going to vote for him the next time. That's because that's what people with principles do. But there's 50% of this country will vote for anything no matter what. And the worse is the bigger the resume enhancement to these people. The worse they are morally and ethically, the more corrupt they are, the more it just makes them want to vote for him. You stand up and you cheer for Brittany Griner like she's done some wonderful thing, like the biggest, most laudable act that we should cheer and stand and parade around the country is that you can take it in the fill in the blank. Really? That's our highest virtue to which we all want to cheer? Hey, I'll stand up and say it. That king has no clothes. I'm not going to bow to that king. You decide what you're going to parade around your house and your home and what virtues you're going to support. I can't support that. I couldn't support it 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Some of you said 20 or 30 years ago you'd never go down that slippery slope, or the way things were then would never get this bad. And then when they did, you predictably, just as we were saying back then that it would get like this, you slid down the slope and didn't even notice. If it's a slippery slope, you just slid right down to the very bottom of that greased hill because you made a beeline. You jumped down to the bottom of that run. You didn't slide and not. I mean, you wanted it and ran towards it. It's such utter corruption, and now because of these things, you have 85,000 undocumented children in this country that have come already through the southern border that are being what? Where are they? We don't know. Many of them are being trafficked. Well, that's because you stand up and cheer for Brittany Griner. Okay, I know some of you can't put this together, just like you can't put together that Putin is on the right side of the moral decency argument, and you're going to vote again with the crack dealers and the most corrupt, most unethical, most disgusting people on earth, like Joe Biden, who's with Zelensky. This is not to disparage those poor, unfortunate souls in Ukraine who have their lives disrupted, and most is not their fault. Most of them, just I can't control a lot of what my country does because most of you vote against what I want. And I guarantee you, I won't be voting for Trump this time, but even more of you will this time than last time, probably, despite the fact that he's definitely a criminal now. He's probably going to be a felon soon and maybe even be ineligible to run. He's raped countless women. He's definitely been with Epstein. And he hired Attorney General Barr, whose father was the first man to employ Epstein back in the 70s as a teacher to get Epstein around kids. No, I can't vote for the guy again. I didn't know that, or no way in the universe I would have voted for him. So these guys are part of that machinery, and I didn't understand that then. But you know that Joe Biden and Hunter are crack dealers. This was public information. And you're like, yeah, crack dealers. Woo! Yeah. And you don't understand why. I mean, the guy before the election was talking about little kids rubbing his leg. And now you don't understand why there's 85,000 missing kids that come across the southern border. I mean, I got an idea what happened to some of them and why, but you can't put that together. Now today you got Putin over there saying, "Hey, I'm going to make a village," and it already exists, as far as I could tell from the media reports. This village already exists, people, with 200 Christians. I think it's a 200 so far from America and Canada, and Putin is calling and saying, if you Christians in America are fed up with this disgusting liberal nightmare in America, you can come to my country and you can live in a Christian country. Now, by Christian, he means Eastern Orthodox. So, I mean, he's not this crazy system we have here where we think onward Christian soldiers, we're going to conquer the whole world. Putin doesn't want to conquer the world. He wants those countries that were part of the Soviet Union. He wants security around where he wants to be able to feed his people. Okay, but he's not out to conquer the frickin' world. You are, you son of a gun. Your president's doing this country. You're the ones that created the New World Order, right? Right. And listen, I'm not into the Illuminati nonsense. That's BS. Okay. But they do come out, you all heard George Bush say, about the New World Order and so on. This is information. There's a good New World Order, and then there's his New World Order, right? Well, their New World Order is this quasi-Christian themed order, okay, where the United States basically runs the world in perpetuity. Part of me likes that because I'm like, hey, we got this great, powerful dollar. Okay, that is still stable. Everybody else, man, you should see what's going on in Pakistan today with their money because they've run out of foreign currency. Their country is collapsing. You could see even China. People are saying they're putting out the propaganda that they're de-dollarizing the world, but it's not really happening. Foreign currency is only 2 to 3% of the exchanges around the world. Still, the United States dollar reigns supreme around the world. The petrodollar is still largely in place, and that, even though we all pay more for groceries, man, it's pretty stable compared to the rest of the world. So I understand this system is sort of in our favor economically. I get that. But here's the crazy thing. the rest of the world gets to exist too. And they should not have to live in order to have stability under the tyranny of the rainbow propaganda being shoved down their throats every day. And a whole lot of the world says, you know what? I'd rather be broke. I'd rather pay more than I can afford. Maybe a lot of those people will have to be like we were when we first came here, independent of government, growing their own farms and able to support themselves. Maybe they'd rather do that than have powerful currencies, okay? So that they don't have to put up with you and your sick, disgusting Brittany Griner. You have become decultured. You've become so disgusting and so putrid to the rest of the world that they want to vomit you out. And Putin says, hey, you American Christians that want to live over here in Russia, come on over. We got a Christian country over here where the rainbow doesn't vomit all over your face every day. And I'll tell you what, that sounds pretty darn good. And by Christian, he doesn't mean he wants to conquer the world like your country does. He might want to have stability in the countries around him that were part of the Soviet Union. He might be after Belarus. I don't know if he'll make a strike on Poland someday or not. I don't know. We'll let the Poles defend Poland, okay? Why do you think that Americans care about Zelensky? What, altruism? Do you think our country runs on altruism? We just love the Ukrainian people that much. That's why we're over there fighting, and giving them all the military. We're not technically fighting, right? But you hear reports which is probably propaganda, that Ukraine shot down a hypersonic missile from Russia. No, they didn't. Okay, that's baloney. But let's say they did. How would they have done that? With their own technology? No. Okay, their hypersonic missiles are not going to be shot down by anybody. Okay, it's virtually impossible to shoot down a hypersonic missile, and yet they got the propaganda. But that's supposed to be from that's supposed to be from Ukraine. No, we are not an altruistic country. Okay. When we invade a country, we say we give it back to them. Like World War II, we gave back Germany, right? And then we rebuilt it and so on. But was there really altruism, or was there maybe some deeper things that were going on behind the scenes of why we went into that to begin with? It might have had something to do with what Smedley Butler was talking about in World War I. Yeah, war is a freaking gigantic racket. That's what it is. And it was going on in World War I. It was going on in World War II. As best as I could trace it, it goes back to at least the Spanish-American War, when we were selling arms to other countries. It's unbelievable how long this country has been doing this. Well, we go down to Mexico and we give them a whole bunch of guns. They give us a bunch of drugs, and our own government sells the drugs inside the United States. That's part of Hugh Squire's story. He had a farm in Utica, Michigan there that he rented, and it was not given, but presented to him. And the guy doing it was a druggie, okay, and he didn't know right then. And then he gets on there and finds out he's living there, and he finds out that the farmhouses behind there have several families of drug dealers running a very active drug ring, and two of those people were McVeigh and Nichols, who were in the Oklahoma City bombing. I mean, this is the CIA bringing, selling your guns, getting the drugs, then giving it to the policemen and the drug dealers and the bikers and everything, and selling it across your country. That's how the real world works. Robert Tosh Plumlee admitted, the CIA agent admitted to bringing drugs. He said from Cuba. He was lying. Okay, the CIA, kind of known for that. It was actually from Mexico, because that's where Oswald was. He was in Mexico before. He wasn't in Cuba. So this all nonsense about Oswald was supposedly in Cuba is complete nonsense. He was in Mexico, okay, or that that the drugs were actually in Cuba. No, 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 no. That goes back to the Spanish-American War. Why did we conquer Cuba in the first place? Altruism. That's what they teach you in the history books, right? Roosevelt just the first president Roosevelt just gathered a whole bunch of people and went down to Cuba because he loved those poor citizens of Cuba and wanted to free them from Spain, right? Do you believe that nonsense? No, no, of course not. We got Cuba out of it. Now, you say, oh, no, we gave it back, right? No, 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 no. We created a communist state there, and the guy running it, Fidel Castro, had been in the military in the United States. He was helping us, and then they created, and because Kennedy didn't quite fully understand that, or he knew it and was opposing it, they killed the guy. And that's your real story. Oh, yeah, because he was against the secret societies. He doesn't mean the Freemasons, folks. He was talking about your CIA. Kennedy was against those guys. You know, they pretend like Russia was going to come down to Cuba and arm it with nukes. And I'm telling you, there's something really fishy with that story. Because Russia had been our ally since freaking 1776. And we're going to pretend like right after they helped us kill Hitler, they actually won World War II for us. If you remember right, they're the ones that got in and killed and killed Hitler. It wasn't us. They were there first. We're going to pretend like just after they did that and helped us win that gigantic war, they were immediately our enemies somehow? How'd that happen? They weren't our enemies. And they were never out to get us. The Cold War is a lie, in essence. They were always our allies. Doesn't mean they were good people. Don't get me wrong. Communism is not good. They're more socialist than communist, really, in some ways. Depends how you look at it. I mean, it said Soviet Socialist Republic. It didn't say Soviet Communist Republic. But there were a lot of lies coming to us. In this country, we have a bigger propaganda system than the Chinese or the Russians. You can't look at mainstream news in this country, whether it's Fox News, which comes from England. Yeah, Rupert Murdoch is, Scottish, British. Oh, you didn't remember that. Or CNN. What, you can't even watch CNN because half the people are British now. It's like you can't even understand half the things they say. I mean, unless you're really good hearing that British accent. I think it freaking sucks, okay? The British accent sucks, okay? And half of them are gay, right? So, all the gay knights from England. There you go. You got your gay British knights running the news. Just like they came in and they ran the British invasion in rock and roll history. They literally called it the British invasion. They weren't lying about that term. It was literally a British invasion where the people that got all the money went back to England and the Queen knighted them for staking your money back to England. And all you people were just dancing. Woohoo! Yeah, let's dance. Let's dance to their music. Let's do drugs. And what was the Queen doing? Oh, she's thinking bigger than you. She was pushing the people in your country that were selling drugs through music. Why were they all drug dealers? You think it was just coincidence that everybody in frickin' rock and roll was a drug dealer? It's because she was doing the same thing to you that she was doing in Hong Kong with opium. Why do you think fentanyl covers this country? It's because you guys love your propaganda. It wasn't a slippery slope. You were like, yes, we want the bottom step of this slippery slope as fast as we could possibly get there. I love that movie Idiocracy where the guy named Frito, he's the really dumb guy in the movie, and the two average guys, okay, they go back in forward in time. All the dumb people of the world populated, but all the smart people died out because they waited to have kids, right? It's the best show ever made, I promise you. And Frito's the dummy, okay, that was in the future time period. And then these two average people, they wake up. In fact, one's One's a hooker and the other's just an average guy in the military, right? In fact, they tell at the beginning he's like the most average guy. That's why they want to freeze him. So they cryogenically freeze him. He wakes up in the future, and they meet this dummy named Frito, and he's dumb as a brick, but so is everybody in the country. Okay, and they find themselves in a situation where the police are after him, and all the police are just running around with machine guns, and chasing him, and they start shooting Frito's car up. And the average guy says, Frito, what are you doing? Why are you cheering that they're blowing up your car? And he just gets this dumb look on his face. And he looks at his car and he sees them all just gathering up shooting it. And he just goes, yeah, woo! Because he just likes the excitement. That's you. You're that dummy. You're that person that said, oh, yeah, the Rolling Stones. Woo! Mick Jagger. Woo! David Bowie. Woo! They're all a bunch of rainbow warriors selling you drugs from a foreign government. And you said, woo! That's your car, stupid. But you pay hundreds of dollars for the concert tickets for decades, and you still do it to this day. Americans can't be any more dumb. And today you're doing it saying we're going to support Zelensky. And just pay attention to all of his corruption. He's an evil son of a gun. He was a dictator. You want to say Putin is a dictator? He couldn't be half the dictator Zelensky already is. If he tried. Here's the difference. Zelensky supports everything you conservatives say you hate. But you're going to support him with your guns and money because of the poor Ukrainian. And I don't mean to disparage the poor average Ukrainian. I feel bad that they're caught up in the middle of it. And maybe there's even some saying that know what's going on, And they're like, oh my gosh, this is just a bunch of corrupt people, and they're wanting to sell drugs and push their rainbow agenda on society. Meanwhile, Putin's taking off his shirt, promoting masculinity, going down there and being a real man, and fighting against the drugs, fighting against the terrorists in Chechnya, okay? And then going and saying to America, we have a village here. If you want to live in a Christian country, you Americans and Canadians can come and live in my Christian country where you don't have to have the rainbow agenda shoved down your throat every day. And you're like, Zelensky, woo! What the heck is wrong with you people? That's your car. They're blowing up your car, man. Get a clue. I'm just an average guy, but I know that. Don't have to be a genius to see these things. But I tell you what, knowing Hugh's story does help because then the CIA is selling drugs, and there's proof of it in his life. Selling drugs right here in the United States, and then you connect it with music and why they stole his license and buried it under the World Trade Center on 9/11. Because it was music license, and he turned in the drug trade to the FBI. You understand? That's the real history of your country. This is why I'm writing Hugh's book. This is why I'm telling Hugh's story. Nobody's gonna jump in and challenge me. Oh, call me a traitor, because I don't automatically support the rainbow agenda being pushed on the world over there in through Zelensky. No, I don't. I do not support the rainbow agenda. I am not a friend of Dorothy. So you guys don't know that term, friend of Dorothy. Well, friends of Dorothy, let's go back. That goes back to the Wizard of Oz. Let me tell you what the Wizard of Oz is really about, okay? Because this is fun, because a lot of people don't really understand the Wizard of Oz story, okay? Somewhere over the rainbow, where bluebirds fly, there's this thing called the handkerchief code, and the colors of the rainbow can be converted to a handkerchief. And if you ever go to a gay pride parade, no, I haven't been to one, but I have seen them on, you can look it up. Just go ahead. This is public information. Just none of you, most people don't study anything. The colors of the rainbow represent your individual fetish. Don't get scared. I'm not going to go into them in detail, but the blue one specifically has to do with bad things to children and things that men do to other men very specifically. I don't know who's watching, so I'm going to try to just leave it at that. Use your imagination. Bluebirds fly, okay? Oh, the rainbow house, it lands, or the house goes up in the tornado, it lands, and there's little children all around. Gee, I wonder why. I mean, they're not children in the story, but they kind of represent children, don't they? They all like lollipops, so I wonder why they like to lick a lollipop. You know, you got to put these things together in your mind, what it's talking about, okay? Don't worry, I'm trying to keep it coded. I'm trying to keep it G-rated the best I can. Well, you put your handkerchief with your favorite collar, and that's what you're into at the gay pride parades. Now, put that together with Hugh's story, where the actress who played the Wicked Witch was Hugh Squire's first grade teacher and would take him and hand him over to pedophiles after class. That's where you got the friend. This is why back in the 50s and so on, closet homosexuals would try to seek out other closet homosexuals because it wasn't open yet. And they'd say, "Are you a friend of Dorothy?" And they said, "Yeah." They would get together. Okay. That's because they knew what the story meant in The Wizard of Oz. This is not hard to understand. So you got the rainbow agenda being shoved down your throat all the way back then, and this is Hugh Squire's story, and this is the same Hugh who was raped and kidnapped by these friends of Dorothy. All right, as a 4-year-old little kid, and trafficked, and his brother also. They'd fly him out to another state and traffic him after chaining him to a toilet and torturing him. And who was responsible for that? Literally, the Wicked Witch from the movie, Margaret Hamilton, who claimed to be related to Wallace. Go ahead and look up Scarecrow on the Wizard of Oz, and his last name was Wallace. And who was Wallace? Oh, Governor Wallace. And guess what? Wallace on, I think he's on Fox now, Mike Wallace. But you've seen the Wallace family on your media for a long time. Guess what? Same Wallace family, same agenda. You think these things happen without help from the government? Well, they were governors' families raping kids, Osborne and Wallace and Long and Hall. Oh, and where was the music industry? There was Daryl Hall from Hall and Oates was one of the people. He was about 12 or 13 years old at the time, raping little boys in Hugh and Osborne's basement. That's why you got Ozzy Osbourne and Daryl Hall in music with the governors. Oh, now you get it. Now you're putting it together. Sparks are hopefully connected in your mind, and you're hopefully for the first time saying, "That's my car they've been burning down all these years." The second you start making these connections is the second you start putrefying things like most music and a heck of a lot of movies and a heck of a lot of these people that have been shoving drugs down your throat for the last several generations in this country. It should have been automatic, okay? I mean, I went to church and all the preachers and stuff would always preach against it, but they would never tell the rest of the story that I just told you. And so you couldn't put it together. And so you said you just told those preachers that were preaching against drugs and rock and roll that, oh, you're just not with the times. You're just crazy. Maybe I was just foolish enough to, at the time, say, you know what? Bad is bad. When I saw a whole bunch of people all working to get all every time they say stand up in a crowd and everybody stands up in a crowd and going, woo! I said, there's something wrong with this. Why are these people so easily controlled? Why is everybody just so brain dead? And you're still like that because you just watch the news and you believe the stories. And both sides are telling you to believe Zelensky, just like they told you to support that little country just on the eastern side of the Mediterranean, that little tiny country. Both sides tell you no matter what you do, you have to support that with $120 billion of your money every year. And you buy the con. And they use that country to go fight the rest of the world with your money. And now they're doing the same thing with Zelensky. Both sides say you can't criticize that little tiny country east of the Mediterranean. Oh, you can't criticize Zelensky because he's fighting for freedom. Mr. Dictator is fighting for freedom? That's just as intelligent as voting for Joe Biden knowing that he sells crack. You can't get any lower morally or demented in your thinking than what this country is. We're at the bottom of the barrel already. We are in hell. The only thing that can get lower is if we start grabbing the shovels and we start digging the concrete out. We're about to bust it up with a hammer and then dig underneath the freaking basement because we can't get any lower mentally or morally in this country because we can't put anything together. And I know all of you to just go out and listen to your rock and roll and your country music anyway, because it's who you are. Nothing I say is going to change it. Nothing I vote for is going to change it. I tell you, I'm going to be happy anyway. You can see, do I look miserable? All of you are insane. I'm still happy. I don't care. Look, I do the right things. I am getting better. Most people, I promise you, most people, they had their best days when they were somewhere between 18 and 28 years old, give or take. Not me. Nah. I took life so darn seriously that when I was in my 20s, I was laying down foundations, bro. And I was building my philosophy of right and wrong. And I figured out a lot of things. And I wasn't right then, okay? But I was figuring it out. And because of that, my best day is going to be when I'm 50 or 60. I've just gotten a little better over time. For the first time in my life, I don't want to turn the camera, but right beside me is a treadmill and a exercise machine from who's the karate guy? Chuck Norris. The Chuck Norris Total Gym. And I've been using it every day for the first time in my life. I'm starting to get in shape and learning Kung Fu and so on. And I am getting better. But I'm happier than I've ever been in my life. I've gone through my depression stage. I've gone through my wondering what I should believe and think. And I figured all that out because in the first grade, I was reading dictionaries and encyclopedias. By the fourth grade, I was carrying my Bible to school all the time. By eighth grade, I'd read the Bible through its entirety and was preaching all over the place. I was taking life seriously. But all of you were going, woo! Rolling Stones, woo! Mick Jagger, woo! Shania Twain. And almost all of them are drug addicts. Maria Lambert, all the Lamberts that you meet are friends of Dorothy. If you don't know that, look at Lambert and Queen. They're all friends of Dorothy. Okay? They know the handkerchief code. All right? And they're part of it and funding it. And you're just like, woo! Shoot my car. Okay, Frito. Good job, Frito. Way to go. You put it together, didn't you? See, I work with handicapped people. Sometimes they say some really stupid things, right? I mean, stupid things. I can't say too much about it because of HIPAA laws, right? Don't want to violate anybody's rights, but let's just say they say some really stupid things. You know what's our response? Can't beat that logic. Because what are you going to do? I can't argue with you. You're at the bottom of the slippery slope. You went down, you saw the slippery slope 30, 40 years ago when people were telling you it's going to get this bad, how it is right now. When people were saying, if you go down this road, you keep supporting the people that do drugs and you keep listening to them, let it fill your brain, that you're going to get further and further more morally debased. And you said, woo, let's go for it. Yeah. And you jumped. You went headline towards it, not against it. And I watch you every day. Am I too loud, too excited, maybe? Surprised nobody said anything in my chat yet. I think you're allowed to call, okay? There's that little link there. You can, you want to call and argue with me or support me. I don't care. Whatever, whatever you want to do. You can just hit that little restream link. Should be on Facebook and YouTube. I should see your messages right here on my chat box, if I'm not mistaken. So I should be able to see. Let's see, chat overlay. Let's see. There you go. If you say anything, I think your chat will say something right there. So go ahead, call and tell me how stupid I am for taking life seriously, or for saying that the guy who supports the things you say you believe, that I'm wrong for supporting him. Because he's the only person on earth I know right now that's doing that. You have the entire world focused on the most disgusting, perverse, nasty, filthy, horrible things. And you have one guy over there, whether he actually is or not, I don't know. Whether he believes it in his heart, I don't know. But out of his mouth, he says that, well, if you guys in the United States really want to be a rainbow, I'm using the word rainbow in place of other words, a rainbow country, well, be my guest. But if you want a Christian country, come over here to Russia. We got a little village for you guys that you're welcome to live in. Now, whose side am I really supposed to be on here? Come on. It's because I believe in the principle. Now, I may find out tomorrow, and I've had people tell me that Putin's actually bi. Maybe he is. I don't put it past him, but I tell you what, he's not shoving it down your throat every day. That's for sure. He's arresting the crazy religions like Jehovah's Witnesses and kicking them out of his country. I know that. He's stopping a lot of the American media from infiltrating and vomiting all over his citizens every day. But you don't kick them out of your own house. You're just like, woo! Shoot my car. Shoot it. Yeah, that's exciting. Okay, Frito. I don't know. Oh, life is fun because I like watching people. Okay, this was at the mall a little bit ago. I like watching people, right? And I used to be real mean and angrily condescending. Now to me, it's just like life is funny. I just see everybody, and I profile. I don't care if you think you should or shouldn't profile. I profile everybody I see, because I don't care, and I don't care what you think, because that's one of the principles that I got when I was 20 years old, and you can't, because you're all people pleasers. Have to have what everybody else has. That's why everybody does drugs, by the way. Because they're people pleasers. They can't think for themselves, and they have to have what everybody else has. Once you realize that you don't have to have what everybody else has, whatever you have is enough. What that just you are complete in and of yourself. All you need is just really just to be your own person, to find your own inner truth, and just make the best of your own life for what you actually like, and ignore everybody else. But you can't do that. Everybody says they do that. I mean, everybody says it. It's like universally said. Like every single person says, yeah, I think alone. I don't care what other people think. Everybody says that. 1 in a billion actually mean it or know what they're saying. 1 in a billion. I don't know anybody else is saying, let's go Putin. Why am I the only person that can think for myself? Why am I the only person that can listen to Hugh Squire's story and understand it? It's not hard. It's just because all of you have to have what everybody else is saying. And I actually had somebody tell me I couldn't be on his show recently because what I say is too fringe. It's too fringe, Oh, heaven forbid. And he actually said, I'll lose friends. I'll lose support if I let you on. Okay. But he never said, is what you're saying true? He missed the greater truth than the whole point. Because what you should always ask is what is real, not who will care. But the mainstream is. Oh, and by the way, he said the mainstream is always trying to find that average so that you ultimately will support them, and they can manipulate you to support them. So here's how you know if somebody's not your friend. If they say if you listen to somebody else, I'll drop you. That's how you know somebody is a manipulator and not a friend. And that's what I told him. I said, these people are not your friends because someday you may learn something new that you don't know how, or that you don't know now, and you'll have to change your viewpoint because you'll know it's true, but you will feel the pressure not to because just what you told me, you might lose your friends. They're your friends only because they want to manipulate you into supporting their position to make them bigger. They don't care what's actually true. They may or may not even believe their position. They're just searching for the mean, the average, the mainstream, because that's where safety is. Now, listen, I have changed my views drastically, but one of the things I put together when I was 13 years old, for heaven's sakes, was that I put together from First John, let God be true and everybody else liars. And I took that literally. Everybody in church, they went to church, but they never took the Bible literally. They just didn't. Okay. They said that they believed it. It was preached from the pulpit to take the Bible literally, but none of them did. Here's an example, because if you would have taken the Bible literally, every single one of you would have been consumed with the thought of the whole world's going to hell. Oh my gosh, I better do something. But you know what? All through my teens, you know how many people went soul winning? Oh, me and Darren LeBrun and the one guy from the one deacon and the pastor. 4 of us. We're the only ones that ever went the whole time. Everybody, but these fiery preachers, they'd come in every week, every single week, and talk about hell is real and all. I don't even believe that anymore, folks. But you say you do, but you're lying to yourself and everybody else. And then I took it. I took it literally. When I read Genesis and I saw the Noah's Ark, I said, this is a literal story. And I said, well, 8 people got on the ark and everybody else in the world drowned. And then on my brain, when I was trying to calculate how many millions of people must have probably lived during the 1656 years from Adam's creation to the Noah's Ark event and the flood and the deluge and how many people would have populated the earth, and all those people drowned except eight people, right? 8 people, right? And I thought, holy cow, if I'm just on God's side, I'm right. And I was okay with that. And I built that as my foundation. That's why I can still hear things today that other people can't hear. Because even though I don't even believe that's a literal story anymore, folks, I built a foundation that said I don't care what anybody else thinks. And I still like that today. And that's the thing, is I'm going to continually think and I'm going to continually learn for myself. Please do that with the Putin thing, okay? Don't just say, well, CNN, ABC, NBC, Fox News, OAN, everybody supports Ukraine, so I got to be right in the middle somewhere, because the only thing you know how to do is support one side or the other. If Fox is for it, well, then CNN must be against it, and I must be with the Fox position then, I guess. You passively receive everything you believe. And you only believe it because it was presented to you as a dichotomy, and you just chose. You never dug in the principles of the thing for yourself and chose to decide what you were going to learn on every single issue based only on what you could figure out and read and understand and learn. None of yous did it. I mean, no one. No one does that. I did that with Christianity. It took me a long time. All right, I did that with the Bible. And I did that with everything in my life, every issue, I may be wrong on some things still. Heavens forbid, if I thought I was wrong on something, though, you know what I would do? This is why I don't think I'm wrong on anything. It's kind of dumb when somebody says, you don't think you're wrong on anything. Well, no, I don't think I'm wrong on anything because I know I'm probably wrong on something, but I don't know what it is because if I thought I was wrong, guess what I would do? I'd change my viewpoint. So, of course, I think I'm right. But a lot of you are even scared to say that because it's just like, it's not popular to have the confidence that you believe your position. In this cucked culture that we live in, you're not supposed to believe yourself. You're not supposed to confidently and aggressively have an understanding for yourself of what you think and believe and promote that. And so you always, when you do kind of have one position or two that's against the crowd, and you always feel like you're swimming against the current and against the crowd, and you're alone. For the most part, you kind of are. If you think for yourself, you'll be like 1 in 1 billion, and I'll just be like, I'll recognize you if I find you, because like you'll stand out so brightly to the 1 in 1 million of us that will see you. The second I encounter you, I'll know who you are. I know of one person like that's completely like that, and that's Hugh Squire. Only other person on earth that I know that's like that. And is there probably some more people out there? I hope so, but I haven't found them yet. I found people that agree with me in a lot of things, but they received it. They didn't develop it within themselves. Okay. There's a lot of people that agree with me on a lot of things. And I'm not going to exclude everybody who doesn't agree with me 100% because there ain't anybody. Hugh Squire's the closest, okay? Uh, of all the people I've ever met, his positions are closer to what I think than anybody else I know. But I have a close friend also at work that he believes a lot of things that I do, okay? And so we're good friends and we do a lot of things. But very, very few people on this planet can just come to their own conclusions, weigh every issue, and every time they see something, instead of criticize it, they say, let's look into that. Let's see why this person says this crazy thing. Let's go Putin. That's absurd. I mean, they didn't say that on CNN. Dang it, they didn't even say that on Fox. So it must not be true. I mean, because if they'd only said it on Fox, then I know CNN was wrong. Or if it only said it on CNN, then I know Fox was wrong. Or, but why not just dig in and just know what you think by carefully examining the facts themselves carefully and always being open to reinterpret everything that you've ever been taught or believed, even if it means going back to the very beginning and pulling up the foundation and laying a new foundation, starting all over again. Because we're all human and we have to do that. We're all people that don't really have the option of omnipotence, and so we're bound to get some things wrong. It has to be that way. And so you have to be willing to lay it down. But if you think you got a right position, push that position. Be proud of that position, but be willing to change it. That's proper masculinity, right? I'm going to push my view and challenge you. And I've done this my whole life, and everybody thought I was just arrogant and mean because I would push whatever. A lot of those things I was pushing, I don't believe anymore because I pushed and pushed and pushed until somebody finally told me something different, and I dug into it. I'll push you on every issue I possibly can until you can prove to me well I'm wrong, and I will look at what you tell me. I found some flat earthers. One flat earther taught me some amazing things I never knew before, but it wasn't flat earth. I'll tell you that right now. Actually, two flat earthers have told me things that I didn't know that are true, but it's not flat earth. And their flat earth ideas are just this major disconnect in their brain. Okay. I don't know how they believe this and this at the same time, this and flat earth. This part's okay. So you can't throw somebody out because they believe something insane. You just can't. You have to dig through each little item carefully. Like you're looking for a Lego and you need that one little piece that is a little odd shape to build your structure. You got to go through all the little pieces till you find it. Because there's only one of them in your building kit, right? But you got to have that piece to make the model, right? Everybody knows something I don't know, so therefore everybody is my teacher. That was a great thing I picked up from Hyles Anderson, and Hyles Anderson is freaking cuckoo. And I spent a lot of time up there being indoctrinated and getting more and more cuckoo with some things, but always having the integrity to say, I will tear it all down and start over. And guess what? I did. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that I threw out Hyles Anderson out of my life. Okay. I am proud of the fact that all this nonsense that was part of my life and Hyles Anderson teaching is gone. I lost 2 people. I wonder if that was Hyles Anderson people listening. Well, do the same thing. There's a lot of Hyles Anderson stuff that's nonsense. Be willing to really dig for yourself and learn, and always be willing to do that again and again and again. Some things you'll learn early in life. Some things you'll learn in the middle of your life. Some things won't make sense till you get older. Go ahead and push your position, but don't just neglect people that have crazy viewpoints. You can't live that way and be an honest person and be a person of integrity. You just can't. You throw out everybody that doesn't agree with you, and there's nobody left. That's the thing. No matter what my viewpoint, no matter how hard I pushed my viewpoint, I listened to everybody that disagreed with me and weighed it out carefully. And then I sought my own ability to understand it for myself. And then I re-examined whether or not those thoughts were coming from whether or not I was receiving it, by subtle indoctrination and the propaganda that goes around, or whether I had really thought it through for myself, because we're all little antennas and we're all receiving these signals. And we don't always realize we picked up something that became part of our philosophy. We didn't even know that we picked it up until we go through and we're like, why do I think that? And if you can't even remember why you think the way you do, or where did I get that viewpoint? Maybe I better re-examine it then. Maybe I need to throw that out and or at least put it on the question, put it in the question category in the little box in my head. And at least I don't have the answer now, but I'm not going to be as sure about it. I'm just going to put it in my little question box. I don't know, guys. I am happier than I have ever been. I'm getting in shape better than I've ever been. I'm becoming more coordinated than I've ever been. When I was a kid, I rejected doing those things just because that's what I saw everybody else doing. I said, I'm going to go my own path. So, well, your best day was when you were 20 and you were fit and you were doing all that stuff, and now you're eating bags of potato chips and donuts every night, and you're getting lazier and chubbier, and your mind's getting foggier, and your care meter is going down. I'm having time in my life. I like my family. I like my car, and it's an old car, but I still like it. I like the fact that I have a car. I like the fact that I make a little garden every year. I like the fact that I have a reasonable, I ain't rich by any stretch of the imagination, but I make a reasonable amount of money to live. For the first time in my life, I'm starting to like life. And by the time I'm 50 or 60, dang, things will just, probably, hopefully, just keep improving. And the best me is still to come, I wish that was true for everybody. Most people, their top was when they were about 20 years old. About the time they were in college, they were at the top of their game, and everything's downhill from there, unfortunately. Because you didn't develop your ability to reason first. So some of you got a lot of catching up to do. Not gonna lie, it's a lot of work. Go back in and try to find out, why would we want to support Putin? Why would some crazy guy say that? Because he hates America? I hate what it's become, that's for sure. I'm no friend to Dorothy, and I'm not going to support Dorothy. And your president supports Dorothy. And that idiot that I voted for last time, Trump supports it too. He held the flag up and was waving it to this crowd. He supports Epstein. He literally appointed Barr to cover up the fact that he had been with Epstein, because Barr's dad hired Epstein in the 70s to be a teacher to put Epstein around kids. That's some serious sick crap, people. I will not vote for that. I don't, because I have personal integrity. If you got any personal integrity, you'll say, okay, I'm done with that guy. At that point. Maybe you didn't know that, but now you do. You don't got an excuse now. You got to rethink some things. So dig deep, learn some reality, guys, and be willing to tear it out from the root if you have to. Dig down like a Rosa Sharon bush. It has those deep old roots way down deep. You know, it's bigger than the plant. Dig it all the way out from the bottom if you got to. Dig deep. Pull out anything. I don't care how long it's been there. Question yourself. Why are you supporting Ukraine right now? Ask. Why? Why do I support Ukraine? What persuaded me of this? This is lunacy. Support the guy who supports what you believe, and it ain't Zelensky. See ya.